Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to all of you here at Temple Sinai in Delray Beach, Florida. We welcome you to our Erev Shabbat evening worship this evening. And we welcome the folks that are joining us on virtual Temple Sinai, both here locally and across North America and perhaps beyond North America. I'm Lynn Weinstein, and it's my honor on behalf of my co-president and our board of trustees to say Shabbat Shalom and hope everyone has enjoyed good health in these first few days of our new secular year. Tonight's worship service will be led by our Rabbi Aviva Bass, along with Dr. David McFarlane on the keyboard. Our student cantor, Dan, is at home for a few more days, but he is feeling absolutely well, and we look forward to him joining us very soon. Before we start our service, I'd like to ask everyone here in the sanctuary to please make sure that your cell phones and other electronics are silenced throughout the duration of our service this evening. For those of you here, please feel free to join in when Rabbi encourages you to read together with her and when she encourages you to sing along with her. I do want to let everyone know that we will not be having an oneg following services tonight, but you can stop and from a distance say hello to friends. I think it's wise for us to wait a few more weeks until we join together for a little schmooze over coffee. We want everyone to remain as healthy as we all are at this time, and wait our turn to celebrate together following worship services. So sit back, sit tall, take your prayer books in hand here in the sanctuary and at home, and join us for Erev Shabbat worship. Rabbi?
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to all who are here in our sanctuary, as well as all who are davening remotely. Let's start with a song. Page 128 in our Siddur is Yedid Nefesh, right in the middle of the page, and that is Beloved of My Soul. It's a beautiful love song, really, to the divine and about spirituality and bringing that in for our Shabbat. So please join me if you know the piece, if you know the song. If you know the melody but can't follow the words, please always feel free to sing on Yadai. Very Jewish thing to do. So page 128, Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh of HaRachaman, Yedid Nefesh of HaRachaman, Mishach Avdecha, El Ritzonecha, Mishach Avdecha, Ya la 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 la, El Ritzonecha, Yarutz Avdecha, Kimo Ayal, Yishtachave Ya la la, Ya la 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 la, El Mul Hadarecha, Yishtachave Ya la la, Ya la 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 la, El Mul Hadarecha. And now we're ready for the candle lighting and Kiddush. Those who are following along at home, if you have not yet lit candles, this is a good time to get up and do so along with us. So page 120 and 121 are our candle blessing. And I'll start with this reading here on the bottom of the page. Help me perfect my ways of loving and caring. Inspire me to make myself whole so that I may honor your name and create a world of justice and peace. If it's going to stay lit. It is. Okay. It looks like it. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. And now for the Kiddush on pages 122 and 123. Vayi Erev, vayi boker yom hashishi, vayachulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chotzevam, vayachal Elohim bayom hashvi, malachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi, mikom malachto asher asa. Vayvarech Elohim et yom hashvi, vaykadesh oto, ki vo shavat mikom melachto, ki vo shavat mikom melachto, asher bara Elohim, asher bara Elohim la'asot. Savri lechaim, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei puri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchilanu, zikaron l'maseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikrae kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. So I want to clear up a common misconception about Kiddush. Some people believe that we are praying over the wine to do something to the wine. We're blessing the wine. Blessing the wine is what I hear people say a lot. We're actually using the wine to consecrate the day. Unlike, in Catholicism, they do believe something does happen to the wine, but that's not part of our belief system. We're not doing anything. It's not any more kosher than it was before we said the blessing. It's just really to utilize the wine as something beautiful and special to sanctify the day. And actually, there is a question in the Talmud, what do you do if you don't have any Shabbat wine? Well, first of all, if you have grape juice, that's always acceptable instead of wine. Not in Catholicism, though, I found out. But I've had discussions with priests, and they don't believe that. But for us, perfectly okay. So you always can be fine with grape juice if you don't know who's coming to your Seder, you're not sure if they have alcoholic tendencies or are recovering alcoholics or whatever. You want to be as welcoming as possible, we can always use grape juice. But if you have no grape juice and no wine in your house, you can actually use the challah to make the kiddush as well. So you can go right through the whole kiddush over the challah and then say hamotzi and eat it. So, little known fact. Okay, just in case you find yourself in that position. Yeah. So, page 138, let's start the Kabbalat Shabbat with Lecha Dodi. And again, we're going to do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we get to verse 9, it is our custom here at Temple Sinai, and a lot of congregations, it's not just our custom, to rise when we get to the final verse, and we slow down the tempo of the music to really feel welcoming to the Shabbat bride or queen. So to let go of any stuff that's still stuck to you from your week that you want to get rid of. We stand up at that last bit and we bring in Shabbat with that. So page 138, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. La 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 la. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmiyanu elam yuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet b'liti la 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 la. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila la 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 la. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Verse 5, Hidoruri, ki va'orech u'miuri, uri shedaberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla la 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 la. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei yom segula. Boi chala, la 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 la. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. La 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 la. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabala. So take a moment and say Shabbat Shalom. Wave to those around you. Don't get too close. Shabbat Shalom to our angels joining us from afar. And we're going to sing to all of the angels of Shabbat.
You can take a seat for a moment as we sing to the angels of Shabbat. The Shalom Aleichem, page 142, 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharit, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, B'melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we've just welcomed the angels of Shabbat. If you notice the translation of the last paragraph, or the actual last paragraph in Hebrew, if you understand the Hebrew, the last verse is saying, depart in peace, go out in peace. And so it is the custom in some families and in some synagogues not to sing that final verse until the very end of Shabbat, right before Havdalah. So sometime, maybe here, when we have a more full weekend, and we're going to end with the Havdalah, maybe we will try that. You have to change the tune a little bit because it doesn't sound finished if you do it the way we just sang it. But you can do it, believe me. But it's a nice thing because we don't want to say, go away, we've just welcomed them in. But when they do depart, which, is at the end of Shabbat, we hope that they go in peace as well. Okay, so we rise now for the call to worship, the Baruch Hu, on page 146. Yai lai lai, yai la lai lai, yai la lai lai la lai lai, yai lai lai, yai la lai lai, yai la lai lai la lai lai, yai lai 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 la lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. So take a seat, please. Let's look at the reading on the top of page 147. We don't often do this one. We'll read together. There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. So you see, we just did the Baruch Hu,
the call to worship, and above that you'll see the words Shema and its blessings. And you might say, Shema? Well, this is the Baruch Hu. You're not imagining things. It's not a mistake. It's actually a whole section with leading up to the Shema. And so I like this reading because this reading kind of ties together the Baruch Hu with the Shema we're about to do in a couple of pages. Okay, so let's do the closing of the Ma'ariv Aravim together on page 148. Ever living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. And now we turn to page 150 as we sing together the song about God's love for us as the Jewish people, with showing that love, the demonstration of that love being the giving of the Torah. Page 150, please join me in Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Avta, Amcha Avta. Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu, uv'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uva'em negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael. We rise for Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. We take a seat. And let's turn to page 155. I love this interpretive translation. Let's read it together. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I let you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Let's read responsively the bottom reading on page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea, the Mi Chamocha, page 158.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, ze Elianu ve'amru, Elianu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yadai, everyone together. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. V'nemar kifada Adonai et Yaakov, ugelo miad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Gal Yisrael. This reading is an introduction to the Hashkivenu. It's not actually in your prayer book. When fears multiply and danger threatens, when sickness comes, when death confronts us, it is God's blessing of shalom that sustains us and upholds us, lightening our burden, dispelling our worry, restoring our strength, renewing our hope, reviving us. Let's read together on page 160 the translation of the Hashkivenu. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace and guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings.
Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming, to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ata Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. And now let's sing those words together. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Let's repeat that all together. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. In a moment, we will rise for the tefillah or amidah. I'd like to read a reading before this called A Short Amidah by Sid Lieberman, and I think this kind of may be where some of us are at the end of a long week. It says, "They say we're supposed to be in a palace, so we bow and take certain steps as the prescribed supplication drops from our lips. But what do we really know of castles and kings? My kitchen faucet constantly leaks, and the kids' faces usually need cleaning. If a door opened to a real palace, I'd probably forget to carry in a load of groceries. No, the door we stand in front of when the Amidah begins is silence. And when we open it and step through, we arrive in our hearts. Mine's not a fancy place, no jewels, no throne, certainly not fit for a king. But in that small chamber, for just a few moments on Shabbat, God and I can roll up our sleeves, put some schnapps out on the table, sit down together, and finally talk. That's palace enough for me." We rise for the Amidah, beginning on page 164. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah.
הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ומדו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Page 171. Where might I go to find you, exalted, hidden one? Yet where would I not go to find you, ever-present, eternal one? My heart cries out to you. Please draw near to me. The moment I reach out for you, I find you reaching in for me. And now we're ready for our Torah service, which begins on page 362. And as we open the ark for the Torah service, I ask you all who are able to do so to please rise as the ark is opened. Page 362, Ein Kamocha. Ein Kamocha va'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kemasecha malchutecha malchut kol ulamim umemshaltecha bechod uvador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch leolam vaed Adonai uzlamo yitain Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom av harachamim heitiv avitzonecha et Zion tivne chomot Yerushalayim tivne chomot Yerushalayim Kivecha levad batachnu melech el ram v'nisa adon olamim ki mitzion tetzei Torah ki mitzion tetzei Torah udevar Adonai mirushalayim Baruch shenatan Torah Torah Baruch shenatan Torah Torah le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Better the microphone than the Torah. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Gadlul Adonai iti Unerom Shemo Yachdav Lecha Adonai HaGedula VeHaGevura VeHaTiferet VeHaNetzach VeHahod Ki Cho Bashamayim Uvaretz Ki Cho Bashamayim Uvaretz Lecha Adonai HaMamlacha v'hamid na'aseh lechol rosh. Please take a seat. Tonight we are reading from Parshat Bo in the Plout commentary, if you have one of these maroon books with you, if you're at home or here in front of you, in the seat pocket in front of you. On page 448, we are going to begin, and I'm beginning right at the start of the Parsha, which is actually verse 1. If you're looking in the English, it's the last little bit on the bottom of 448 before the commentary part on the very bottom. And I'm going to call up anyone who wishes to do so for this aliyah. Ya'amdu kohakila li aliyah. And together we'll say the bracha. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato
Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe bo el Paro, ki ani kichvadati et libo ve'et lev avadav leman sheti ototai ele bikirbo ולמען תספר באוזני בנך ובין בנך את אשר התעללתי במצרים ואת אותותי אשר שמעתי בם וידעתם כי אני אדוני ויבוא משה ואהרון אל פרעה ויאמרו אליו כה אמר אדוני אלוהי העברים עד מתי מאנת לענות מפני שלח עמי ויעבדוני. And together let's say the closing bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nota b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. And here is a translation, the one here in the plout. Then the Lord, Adonai, said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his courtiers, in order that I may display these my signs among them, and that you may recount in the hearing of your sons and of your sons' sons how I made a mockery of the Egyptians and how I displayed my signs among them, in order that you may know that I am Adonai." So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said to him, "Thus says Adonai, the God of the Hebrews, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, that they may worship me." And now I'm going to give everyone a Mishaberach for the Aliyah. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. May the Holy One who blessed our ancestors bless all of us who have come up today in honor of God, in honor of Shabbat, in honor of Torah, and in honor of our commitment to our Jewish community. May the Holy One bless all of us with good health. Good health, good health, good health. Worth repeating. And good long lives filled with joy, peace, and love in our homes, and success in all of our labors, along with all of our family and friends, and along with the entire house of Israel. And let us all say, Amen. Please take a seat. Okay. All right. And now for the Mishaberach, I'm going to sing a version of the Mishaberach that many of you know, but I like to vary it up a little bit and not always do the Debbie Friedman, although it is beautiful. So we're going to sing one by Lisa Levine that repeats the words, "Hear our prayer," and we certainly would like for the divine to do that. And as we do this, I have here a list of names of those whom we know are in need of healing. And if you have a name or names of those you are thinking of at this time, please, those of you who are remotely davening with us, as well as those who are in the sanctuary, please say those names aloud now. So for all of those whom we have named, as well as all of those good people around the world in need of healing, we sing this Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mi sheberach avotenu, mi sheberach imotenu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. And now I'd like to invite up our Hagba, Eric Adams, to come to lift the Torah scroll in the air. And as we do so, please rise and we sing V'zot HaTorah. This is the Torah. V'zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yisrael ve'oraita dekudesh habarichu chadhu. Yisrael ve'oraita dekudesh habarichu chadhu. Torah, ora, Torah, ora, hallelujah, hallelujah. Torah, ora, Torah, ora, hallelujah, hallelujah. Torah, ora, Torah, ora, hallelujah, hallelujah. Torah, ora, Torah, ora, hallelujah. Page 374, we return the Torah to the ark. Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado. Hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren le'amo. Tehila lechol chasidav, livnei Yisrael amekerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Etz chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'tomcheha meushar dirachem.
Please take a seat. I'm going to invoke rabbinic privilege and change the topic from what I had discussed in my email to you to something different. So there is a story in the Talmud in Tractate 22b about who is worthy of Olam Haba, the world to come, or the afterlife. And this is the story. Rabbi Baroka Choza'ah was often found in the market of Bei Lephet, and Elijah the prophet would often appear to him. Once Rabbi Baroka said to Elijah, "Of all the people who come here in this marketplace, is there anyone worthy of Olam Haba, the world to come?" So someone comes, they discuss that, and a bit later, two brothers come into the market. And Elijah says to Rabbi Baroka, "These two have a share in the world to come." So Rabbi Baroka went over to these two brothers and said to them, "What is your occupation? What do you do?" Because he wants to know, how could they be worthy of Olam Haba? After all, they don't look like tzaddikim, they don't look like rabbis, they're just ordinary people coming into the marketplace. So they say to him, "We are jesters, and we cheer up the depressed." Alternatively, when we see two people who have a quarrel between them, we strive to make peace. It is said, for this behavior, people may enjoy the profits of their actions in this world, and their rewards are not diminished in the world to come. Cheering people up and making peace. There are times when a rabbi must cheer up those who may be feeling down. And this week, I just had a feeling that many of you might be in that place. There was a great deal of negative news this week. We have the aftermath of the fires in Louisville, Colorado, and the subsequent snow. The snow in Virginia, and the cars stuck overnight in the snow. And the train also stuck because of the snow, the Amtrak train, and downed because of the snow, and also downed trees on the tracks. And there was a great deal of coverage yesterday about the anniversary of the horrible day of January 6th, and of course, much politicking by many people with different opinions, which may have gotten some of us angry, upset, just upset our week. So I decided that even though I sent out an email teaser about what I was going to speak about today, that I needed to change my remarks and speak about humanity's propensity for good. And this drash or sermon is called "Good People Still Exist." In the Torah, in Parshat Tetzaveh, which will be read about a month from now, we learn of the Ner Tamid, the eternal light that was tended by the holy priests in the tabernacle. This light is now symbolized in the light above the ark in synagogues around the world. That's called now the Ner Tamid, which is different than the original one, obviously, which was in the tabernacle, but this represents that Ner Tamid. And it represents God's very presence. It's a very holy object to us, of course, above the ark, carrying our most holy objects, the Torah scrolls. Sometimes it is difficult to feel God's presence and to see it shining light in the darkness. But it is always there, within every human being. If we just open our hearts and our spirits and let it shine forth. My sons and I lived in Louisville, Colorado for a year from 2010 to 2011. They were 3 and 4 years old. They were 3 turned 4 there. We have many fond memories of the town. Theirs are a little dimmer than mine. They were so young, but they have some memories. And that town has been named for years at or near the top of the list of the best towns around the country for families to live. It's beautiful and just a nice town. The people are nice, and it has a wonderful, fabulous rec center and many wonderful playgrounds and parks, and it just has a wonderful feel to it, had a wonderful feel to it. And it was in its own town with any amenities that you wanted or shopping that you could want, but close enough also to Boulder, which is about 15 minutes drive away. And actually, we lived in Louisville because I was serving a congregation in Boulder. So you can easily, from Louisville, come into Boulder and explore that wonderful bigger town, which is known for its eclectic lifestyle and wonderful colleges. Last week, about 1,000 homes, just under 1,000 homes, burned to the ground in Boulder County, most of which were right in Louisville and nearby Superior. There were at least 2 fatalities, but many more could have been possible if people didn't follow the order to escape their homes, sometimes with just a few minutes' notice, just to run out with the skin on their back. So the much-needed snow fell. They had snows, but it fell too late for those homes and those buildings, also some community buildings as well. But that snow helped to put out the fires, which were still burning. Yet snow added some more devastation because people were unable to get to some of the roads to ascertain the damage and try to start to think about rebuilding their lives. And if you look at photos of Louisville now, it looks like the aftermath of a bomb or some other unnatural devastation. It's unbelievable. It's just horrendous. One neighborhood had every house burned to the ground except for one home still completely intact. I don't know who would feel worse. You know, the people who owned that one home still standing, or all the rest who had lost them. One department store still stands, while just across the street, another is ash and debris. And it will be years until the town can be rebuilt. Yet flames do not always equate with terror, destruction, and loss. Amidst the burned rubble, the light of the divine still burns, a ner tamid, an everlasting flame of hope and peace, not loss. And this ner tamid is found in many of the people of Boulder County, Colorado, who are helping one another to deal with this devastation. Stories have emerged of neighbors who were lucky enough to survive the fires in their homes, opening their homes to those who lost theirs. And places of worship have also opened their doors to people displaced by the devastation. And everywhere you hear stories of people being grateful for their lives and for those of their families, even while they mourn the loss of the property. In Virginia this week, very different weather. A terrible snowstorm hit, and hundreds of travelers along I-95 were stranded. Hours turned to overnight as icy temperatures and lack of food threatened all who were stuck in their vehicles. I can hardly imagine how scary and how freezing that must have been. I mean, some of us put on sweaters when it's below 70. So this was 25 degrees, so really scary weather. So hours turned to overnight, and lack of food threatened all who were stuck in their vehicles. And there, the ner tamid burned within the hearts of a couple in one of the cars who were in sight of a truck carrying bread to stores for distribution. On a whim, or maybe it was divine inspiration, they decided to call the company and ask if the bread could be shared with those who are in the cars surrounding it. And this ner tamid also burned in the heart of one of the owners of the company, who called this couple back just 20 minutes later and asked that they bring their cell phone to the driver of the truck so that they could tell him. And the truck driver also said he had been praying to know what to do, because he felt that he wanted to give away this bread, and for hours had been sitting there praying What should I do? And then he hears from his boss of the entire company, to share this bread. So the company owner told him to allow those in the surrounding cars to share the bread in the truck. The couple started walking around car by car and giving bread to the people. Men, women, young children, the elderly, and even pets who had not eaten in almost a day. An estimated almost 300 packages of the bread were distributed to people in the 50 surrounding cars. Also, as a result of this horrible storm, an Amtrak train was stuck for nearly 40 hours of misery. 40 hours. They ran out of food and water, the toilets were backed up, and there was no Wi-Fi or cell phone use in cell phone coverage in most of the train. So the people couldn't even call their loved ones or even play on their phones to pass the time. They couldn't even call their loved ones to tell them, hey, this is what's happening. Obviously, they saw it on the news, but they couldn't talk to them. But there, too, the bright light of the Ner Tamid shone through the actions of some amazing people. And during the night, one of the passengers arranged, I guess this person had a cell phone that was working, because this person arranged a delivery of water to the train for the passengers to drink. And in the morning, someone else received a huge order of McDonald's and shared it with all of the passengers of the train that they could. So that was a really wonderful thing as well. I don't know who paid for it, but isn't that wonderful that someone said, let's deliver McDonald's to everybody in the train. So wonderful. So the moral of the story, well, we should always be prepared with food and water and blankets in our cars in case of an emergency, especially if you're driving anywhere north of Florida. But that's not the only moral. The moral is that good people still exist. Every person has a Ner Tamid, an eternal flame of the divine, and it burns in our hearts and connects our very souls with God, who made each of us in the image of the divine. This Shabbat, let us remember all the good in ourselves and in humanity itself. It is too easy to write off people with different beliefs, political opinions, or lifestyles as the other. But if we open our eyes and our minds, and especially our hearts, we can see that the flame shines through in every moment, every day, and every hour of our lives. May we be open enough to acknowledge it and then to share that light with others. And I think you will find this song familiar, so please join me if you know it. We're starting in the middle of the song, though. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, let anger not tear us apart. Light one candle to bind us together with peace as the song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out. Yeah, you never know where to clap at the very end, but thank you very much. And now we're going to have some words from our sponsors, about our sponsors, rather.
Can everyone hear me? You can, good, that's good. Well, Shabbat Shalom. I'm Betty Adams, co-president of Temple Sinai, along with Lynn Weinstein. And I want to thank Rabbi Aviva for a wonderful service tonight. And of course, Dr. Dave, welcome back after the holidays and stuff. We would like to thank the following sponsors. Tonight's Erev Shabbat service is sponsored by Risa Stern in memory of her beloved father, Nathan Oliver, Gail Summers in memory of Lawrence Summers, Judy and Barry Friedfeld, never sure if it's Friedfeld or Friedfeld, but anyway, Judy and Barry in memory of Judy's beloved mother, Gertrude Bunkin, Donna and Larry Lopater in memory of Howard Greenberg, Carol Sklar in memory of her beloved father, Isidore Eisen. And the following donation to the community food pantries is sponsored by Ethel Greenblatt in memory of Lauren Lehrfeld. Our Saturday, January 8th Shabbat Torah study is sponsored by James Hurt in memory of Arlette Hurt's mother, Rosalie Zinn. And we do have some announcements. I'm going to continue Rabbi's sermon, wonderful sermon. Boy, did she give us a great lead in, because the Social Action Committee is looking for some more volunteers. Do you have a light within you to spend an hour at the park on Sunday afternoons to feed some homeless people? People make sandwiches. I don't know if everybody knows what happens, but many people are making sandwiches at their home, and the Social Action Committee collects the sandwiches, and somebody goes to the park every single week and feeds these very extremely grateful people that are in need. And I just can't even tell you, it makes me emotional, because if they cannot stop thanking us for the food and the toiletries and the clothing that we bring them. So if anybody could spare an hour or so on a Sunday afternoon, and there are other opportunities as well, other days of the week, please see Eric Adams. Brotherhood has a Super Bowl party Sunday, February 13th at 6 p.m. It's going to be $5 for Brotherhood members, $10 for everyone else. COVID-safe snacks will be served. There's going to be a Super Bowl pool, and you can see Jay Sweet, and it's $5 per box. I guess people that do pools will understand what that means. I don't, but maybe you will. Also, you can call the Brotherhood, what is the Brotherhood extension, 130? 133, 561-276-6161, extension 133, and leave a message if you need more information. Spanish River Concert Series is still selling tickets for the series. You can call the same number, extension 114. Excuse me. And most important, don't forget services tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. right here in the sanctuary, or you will get a link later tonight. And Torah study at 12:30 on Zoom only. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you again.
And just one other thing that's really important for all of us. For those of you who do have a Chumash handy, please turn to page 475. There's not much written on that page, but it is important. Page 475 says, "The Road to Sinai." Everyone here and everyone who's joining us from afar has chosen the road to Sinai. And the road to Sinai is my prelude for you to join us next Shabbat. Next Shabbat is a very special Shabbat. And under the best of times, we'd be singing and dancing in all of the parts of the sanctuary, on the bima, up and down the aisles, to celebrate the crossing of the Red Sea. But we will still commemorate the crossing of the Red Sea with a really wonderful service next Shabbat. I hope those of you who are joining from afar may venture out, feel more comfortable with the community health, and join us here in the sanctuary. But those of you who are at home can dance around your home, because we are going to sing and celebrate next Shabbat. So please remember to join us as we welcome Shabbat with Bashalach.
And that's called Shabbat Shirah, the Shabbat of song. So please join us for that. That's wonderful. Okay, and now we're ready for our concluding prayers of our service, beginning with the Aleinu. So as the ark is open, we rise once more as we turn to page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please take a seat. Albert Einstein wrote the following: "Strange is our situation here upon earth. Each of us comes for a short visit, not knowing why, yet sometimes seeming to divine a purpose. From the standpoint of daily life, however, there is one thing we do know, that we are here for the sake of each other above all. For those upon whose smile and well-being our own happiness depends, and also for the countless unknown souls with whose fate we are connected by a bond of sympathy. Many times a day I realize how much my own outer and inner life is built upon the labors of others, both living and dead, and how earnestly I must exert myself in order to give in return as much as I have received and am still receiving." At this time this week, we recall those whose yahrzeits, the anniversary of their passing, occurred at this time in years past, and those whose names are on the plaque surrounding, are illuminated on the plaque surrounding the sanctuary. Adele Agan, Faye Berkeley, Fern R. Bernstein, Ruth Dugatkin, Jonas Eig, Elizabeth Greenberg, Fred P. Greenberg, Clara Hilt, Alfred Jackson, Mary Jacobson, Martin James, Ruth Kronick, Marilyn Krupnick, Irving Lapidese, Lauren Learfeld, Lillian Lieb, Michael Kevin London, Susie Lowinger, Gloria Pincus, Alvin Promisel, Anna Rankin, Ruth Roth, Abraham Runstein, Irving Satin, Eleanor Jane Sheikovitz, Lawrence Summers, Albert H. Steinberg, Rose Warshaw, and Ida S. Zupan. Others recalled at this time: Max Belfer, Gertrude Bunkin, Isidore Eisen, Max Friedman, Howard Greenberg, Ida Greenfield, Rose Hurwitz, Edwin Carmel, E. Alfred Kaufman, Dorothy Kay, Lily Mandel, Nathan Oliver, Abby J. Plotkin, Harry Schoenberg, and Debbie Friedman, the composer. And we also recall those whose deaths are more recent, in the past 30 days, the Shloshim period since their funerals. Alan Kaplan, Milton Sterren, Lee Abraham, and Teddy Wasserman. If you are recalling someone whom I have not named, please, if you are at a distance, please say their names aloud now, and as I gesture around the room, if you could say the names. So for all of those whom we have named, as well as all of those who were murdered in the Shoah, we rise in solidarity with mourners everywhere as we turn to page 598 and recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'olmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shemei dekudesha barichu, le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shalom araba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all who mourn among us. And let us all say, amen. Please take a seat for our closing song, Adon Olam, page 625. Please join me. Adon Olam, Hashem alach, b'terem kol, yitzir nivra, le'et nasa, v'chefso kol, azai melech, shemo nikra, ve'acharei, ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה. Shabbat Shalom.